Can you, as an MBA student, design your career journey after MBA? Can you take complete control of what work do you do after MBA? The answer to that is yes. And in this podcast, what I plan to share with you is that what is that universal principle which I followed during my MBA and which you should follow during your MBA right now, so that you can take complete control of your outcomes from the MBA program. And I'm not only talking about the on-campus placements. There are many other opportunities which I'll be talking about in this podcast. Hi and welcome. I am Darpan Saxena, an MBA graduate from IIM Udaipur and the founder of Super Heuristics. And I am on a mission to help 100,000 MBA students create the best career outcomes in the field of marketing through their knowledge and digital skills. Let's get on with the episode. So, welcome to this episode of 5 Steps Ahead podcast. And as I said in this episode, what I want to share with you is that how can you take complete control of your career and the outcomes which you get from your MBA, and how you can ensure that whatever you have imagined in your head and whatever goal which you have set for yourself in your mind, you are actually able to materialize it after your MBA. Now for this, you need to follow a principle. You need to believe in a principle which I'll be sharing with you. And if you believe in that, and if you work in accordance to that, I'll be sharing with you the steps as well. But if you believe in that principle, then you will be able to do all those things which are important for you to do in order for you to take complete charge of your journey after MBA. So I'll get straight to the point. And what exactly is this principle? This principle is learn, do, and teach. Now you may or may not have heard about it earlier. But if you haven't, then if you'll understand it, it is going to completely change the way you think about the various things which you do in your MBA. It will change the way you operate in your day-to-day environment in your MBA. And that is what my objective is, that only if you have that shift in your thought process, only then you can get the outcomes which you want. So I spoke about learn, do, and teach. I will share with you my example so that I can also explain you that how I applied this principle of learn, do, and teach in my life, and how I was able to create the outcomes which I wanted from my MBA. So just so that you know about me, I am an MBA graduate from IIM Udaipur. Before entering my MBA, when I was appearing for my MBA entrance interviews, what used to happen with me is that I scored well in all the exams. I scored well in CAT, in ZAT, IFT, SNAP, and all such MBA entrance exams. And I had calls from some of the best B schools. For example, all the IIMs except for the old IIMs, XLRI, MDI, IIFT, so on and so forth. But the biggest problem with me was not the exam. The biggest problem was that in each interview, when I used to go to my interview, instead of speaking out my answers like a normal student would, I used to scribble all of my answers on a sheet of paper. Yes, in my MBA interviews, in the most important MBA interviews, instead of speaking out my answers, I used to scribble out my answers. And you'd ask why? You can speak fairly well, so why do you have to scribble the answers? The answer to that is that I had and I have a speech problem. I stammer while I speak. Now you might not be able to understand that right now when I'm speaking with you, because you might feel that, hey, you're fairly fluent, but then that's the point. And that is what I want to share with you in this episode, that what exactly has been my journey from a point that when I walked out of my IIFT interview, when I was at the IIFT academic block, and when I walked out of that IIFT interview room, I couldn't hold myself back and I started crying. because my interview was so bad. It was so horrible because of the kind of things which I was told in the interview regarding my stammering was such that as soon as I exited the room, I started crying. I found a space somewhere in that IFT academic block and I started crying. And from that, I have reached a point where I'm living a lifestyle of freedom, where I run my blog, Super Heuristics, which is a blog for the MBA students. And I do consulting projects with clients across the world, and I'm able to choose the kind of work which I want to do. And this entire journey has been made possible only because I followed the principle of learn, do, and teach. So let's not forget about that. And I would now say that, okay, from there, after appearing for my interviews, I got through IIM Udaipur. And during my first year at IIM Udaipur, I used to feel very frustrated every day. The reason for that is because every day when I used to go to the classroom, I never used to speak because of the shyness, because of also the speech problem. And then I thought that, okay, fair enough, if I can't talk, instead of feeling so sad and embarrassed about it, what if I do something about it? And what if I can't talk, what if I can write about my thoughts, about the things which I feel? And therefore, right in my first year of MBA, I started my blog, Super Heuristics, which I started it off as a marketing blog for the MBA students. Now, what I used to do on that blog was that in all of my marketing classes, whatever I used to learn, each day I used to come back to my room and I used to write all of those things in my words, in my thoughts, in my opinions, because I also had work experience in the same field. I used to write all the things in the form of articles and I used to upload those articles on my blog. And I used to ensure that every week at least one or two good, long, detailed, well-researched articles I write. Now, if you observe what is happening over here is that I am activating the step number 1 of that universal principle of learn, do, and teach. And that principle, the first step is learn, which means whatever I used to learn in the classroom, I used to ensure that my learning improves, because I used to come back and for me to write an article on that, for me to write a good article on that, I need to come back and I need to read more. I need to understand that concept more so that I can explain it in a well-structured manner. And therefore, the mere act of writing an article on my blog, the mere act of creating content, helped me learn my concepts in a much more solidified way. And therefore, when you start your blog, which you should, which is what 5 Steps Ahead is all about. If you have enrolled for my free course, 5 Steps Ahead Blueprint, you would know that 5 Steps Ahead is all about becoming somebody who follows the learn, do, teach. And the way for you to do that is to start your marketing experiments lab, which is your blog. So when you start your blog and when you write articles for that, you would realize that your understanding of your subject, of your niche, is improving. Now from there, in order to grow my blog, I used to employ skills like search engine optimization and Facebook ads. So for example, search engine optimization, it used to help me rank on the page 1 of the search engines. And because I had some work experience in the same field, I knew a fair bit of SEO and also some bits of Facebook ads. So when I created my first free ebook, I ensured that I run Facebook ads in order to get some leads. Now, if you understand what is happening over here, I am using my skills of search engine optimization and of Facebook ads, which I'm acquiring from somewhere. I am learning those skills from somewhere and I'm applying those skills on my blog, which is my marketing lab. It's like a marketing lab for me where I can do experiments. So whatever I learn in the form of a skill, I am able to come back and do it on my blog. I am able to actually apply search engine optimization on my articles, and I am able to ensure, even when I was in my first year, that my articles go up on the first page, and they did. Because that is exactly why within the very first year of my blog became famous across the IIMs and across the B schools. I was featured in some of the best websites for MBAs, for example, inside IIM. So that was your step number 2, that whatever skills you are applying in your field, you need to come back and apply it on your blog. And especially if you're a student who's interested in the field of marketing, these skills are gonna come very handy, because these are what I call the digital skills, and they'll help you in becoming a more valued professional. Hence, learn and then do. And then I'll come to the third step. And the third step of the principle which I shared with you was teach. Now, if you understand it, the very fact that you're writing an article in an explanatory way, you are helping somebody learn something. So effectively, you are in the process of teaching it to someone. Now, beyond that, what happens is that when you reach a stage that you have accumulated a lot of gyan by the means of creating content and by applying the skills practically onto your blog or onto some other assignments, consulting assignments which you can find through your blog, then you have the ability to also go ahead and teach it to others in the form of courses, which is exactly what I did. After that, after having so much experience of working with clients, which I found through my blog, thanks to my blog, and also after working on my blog for so long, I sort of compiled everything in a structured fashion, and I created my first course called 5 Steps Ahead. And then my second course, which is a free course called 5 Steps Ahead Blueprint. And now when I've created these two courses, I've created a community around what I'm trying to tell you. I am able to share my experiences and I am able to transform students more effectively, because it's very rare that somebody is going to get transformed only through an article. It's only when you bring them inside a community, through a course, through a structured format, then you can truly impact your audience and then you can create value. And because I became somewhat an expert in my field by creating so much on it, and by improving my skills, which are also aligned with that same field, now I can create courses on those skills as well as on that subject, which I have followed for so many years. Hence, what I've explained to you is this principle of learn, do and teach, that if you persistently follow this principle of learn, do and teach, and if you apply it in just the way which I explained, then there's going to be no stopping you. Because the kind of outcomes which you'll open up from here is not only the fact that you'll get a much improved chance in your on-campus placements, because you would be a doer. You would not be somebody who would just go and say that, hey, I know search engine optimization. You would be somebody who would go in and say that, hey, look at my article which is on page number 1. So not only will your chances at your on-campus placements improve, if you follow these principles very well, if you're able to do the kind of outreach which a blog of yours can do for you, then you'll find off-campus opportunities, or you would have created an entity which could make you completely self-employed, which can give you certain consulting assignments, or you could create programs through which you can live a freedom lifestyle. Or the third thing, that if this thing shoots up really well, then it could become a full-blown startup. And you would not have even realized in your MBA that probably you can do a startup just by starting off a small project. But that is the capacity of this, that what all you can do with this. Yes, this could be a startup. So, even if you're somebody who's not yet sure of what route he wants to take, what route you want to take, whether you want to go for on-campus, off-campus, or whether you want to do a startup, it's okay. Because this principle impacts everything. And hence, towards the end of this episode, what I'd like to reiterate to you is that learn, do and teach. It changed my life. It made me from an underconfident stammerer to somebody who's speaking to you on a podcast, something which I would not have imagined 4 years back, or even 2 years back, or even 1 year back. But here I am. It transformed me from that to this. And if I can do it, you can do it too. You can take the complete charge of the career you have after your MBA. And that is the final thought which I would want to leave you with. Thanks a lot for staying up till the end of the episode. Do not forget to subscribe to this podcast and to my YouTube channel by the name Super Heuristics. And do join my community of MBA students who are creating the best career outcomes through their knowledge and digital skills. Hop on to superheuristics.com and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.